everyone, and welcome. My name is Sydney, and today we are going to be talking about the 16 books that I want to read in the fall. Last night I got in like an ultimate mood of just cozy video games, cozy reading, cozy vibes, and it just made me want to dive into fall so badly. I mean, it is like 80 degrees out right now, and so it is not the fall vibes. And my boyfriend kept saying how much he misses being 50 degrees outside, and it really got me thinking, what books do I really want to read during the months September through November-ish, and even the like end of August. But I mean, we're at the beginning of August and it's still super hot out, which is nice for the pool, but I don't know, I'm kind of getting into the fantasy vibes and the mysteries and the cozy romances. I just can't wait. Without further ado, let's jump into my ultimate fall TBR. So in this video, I've got 3 genres that I'm going to divide it up into. I'm going to start with romance, and I've got 4 books on there. Mystery, thriller, which I've got 3 books on there. My biggest one is fantasy, which has 9 total books. So I'm super excited to talk about fantasy. I think I'm going to save that for last and start with the mystery thriller. So the first book on our fall TBR is going to be The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I'm really sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I've heard so many great things about this. This was super popular a couple of years ago, and people were raving about it. It's such a good mystery. And I bought it and didn't pick it up, and I just feel like this is the year I need a shocking thriller, especially in the fall months. So this book is about this woman whose life seems perfect. She's married and seems happy, but one night she comes home and shoots her husband 5 times in the face, and no one knows why. She's being kept now in a psychiatric unit and completely goes silent. Like, she won't say a word, hasn't spoken a single word since the incident. So we're in this perspective of the person who goes in and is trying to unravel the mystery and get her to talk and figure out why she did that to her husband. And I've heard it's so good. So the first one on the TBR is The Silent Patient. I'm super excited. Next up, I've got A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is a extremely popular trilogy, and again, heard so many good things. It's a new Netflix series that is coming out, and I really want to watch it, but I keep telling myself I need to read at least the first book before watching it, because correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that each season is going to be about like one book. So I think the first season is about just book 1. So I think if I read this, I can watch season 1, but I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong so I don't spoil it for myself. But we are following Pip, who is a senior in high school, and in their high school, there was a really popular girl who was murdered by her boyfriend, and then the boyfriend kills himself. And it's a super sad mystery. Everybody blames the boyfriend. That is the story that happened. It's a closed case. Nobody's questioning it. And Pip, for her final senior project, decides to kind of re-examine the case and cast doubt on it, just as something that's interesting to do. But then she actually delves a little deeper into it and realizes that nothing is kind of as it seems. Like, there might actually be a different answer to the mystery of what happened to both the girlfriend and the boyfriend. And as she starts digging deeper, people start coming after her, and so it's kind of about her figuring out the mystery as well as trying to survive herself. And I've heard so many good things. It just sounds like such a good premise. I mean, it's a pretty short book. It's like a little less than 400 pages, but the font is pretty big, and I don't know, I'm super excited to dive into this book. The third and final mystery on our fall TBR is going to be The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I have read the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by him, and I rated it 5 stars. It was seriously one of my favorite mysteries. That one was so good, and I'll probably do like a different video talking about kind of my favorite reads, and that one will definitely be on it, but I highly recommend that one. And so that one really made me want to pick up this one, and the sprayed edges are pretty cool. I don't know. And this one is about an island that is surrounded by this fog and mist that is extremely deadly. Like, it can't get in at all, or else if people breathe it in, like, they die. It's deadly. It's a killer. On this island, there is like a shield that protects all the people that are on there, and is controlled by the scientists. The scientists know how to run it. But one morning, they discover that one of the scientists is dead. They were murdered, stabbed a bunch of times. And everybody has their memory wiped. No one knows what happened. They're trying to figure it out. But on top of that, they realize that that shield that is protecting their island and their lives is kind of coming down because of the scientist's death. So it also becomes a race on how to put the shield back up. No one remembers. Their memories are wiped. Also, the mystery of who killed the scientist. And again, everybody has their memories wiped. So there's a possibility that the person who maybe did it doesn't remember. So I'm very excited. I've been wanting to read this one for a while, and I feel like the fall is a perfect time for mysteries. So third and final mystery on the TBR for the fall is The Last Murder at the End of the World. All right, so now we're going to dive into our 4 romance books for the fall. And starting off strong, I have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I've heard pretty mixed things on this series, but I've just heard that it's fun. You know, it's not awesome, but it's just fun. It's atmospheric. The best time to read it is in the fall, and man, I love pumpkin cream chai from Starbucks. So I have a feeling that one day I'm gonna get one of those when they come out, and I am just gonna binge this book. Like, I don't know, that just sounds so fun to me. And it's a romance that takes place in this small town, and it's really cute. Like, all of the shops, I wonder if they have a map in here. Oh, they don't, but they have a map in another book, but they're all themed shops. Like, it's really cute. This one, like I said, is small town. It's a spicy romance, and it seems like grumpy sunshine. I think the girl is sunshine and the guy is grumpy, so kind of like a classic romance. She moves into this small town of Dream Harbor to run her aunt's pumpkin spice cafe. And then there's this guy named Logan, who is a local farmer who kind of avoids like Dream Harbor's gossip and everything to do with Dream Harbor kind of at all costs. Like, he just wants to go about his life, but he is super, super drawn to the new girl whose name is Jeannie. And so it's just their love story and sparks that fly in the small town. And I don't know, again, it just seems cozy, and I want a pumpkin cream chai from Starbucks to read with this. So I'm very excited to pick this up, but I am waiting for when that pumpkin chai comes out. I will have one in my hands while I'm reading that. The second romance that I picked for this is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This book is a YA romance that takes place in 24 hours, and it takes place on the last day of senior year. So these two are high school rivals, have been the entire 4 years, and kind of friends, but not really. Like, they don't realize that they're friends, but really that's their friend. I kind of read like a little bit of this and softy enough it. I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I kind of got the vibe that they were clearly friends, but they both were reluctant to say so. But it's the romance about them spending the 24 hours together and kind of how they realize that they're friends and maybe something more, and it sparks into way more. And I don't know, it just sounds so fun. It sounds really fast paced. Like, I feel like I could pick it up and finish it in a day. And I even started to annotate this book. I never annotate books, but I started to annotate this when I read it, and I think I just wasn't in the mood to annotate and read it, so I softy enoughed it. So maybe I'll continue annotating it. I don't know, with all the pen I wrote on this book, I feel like I have to, or else, I don't know, it's just gonna be really weird with the first chapter kind of being written on and then nothing for the rest of the book, but we'll see. So the reason I wanted to put this on the fall TBR is because even though, okay, now that I'm saying this, I realize the last day of senior year is gonna be in the summer. And I was originally thinking that fall, like school year and fall. So I made a mistake. But I'm still going to read this in the fall probably. So don't judge me. It's clearly a summer book that I'm putting on the fall TBR, but mind your business. Alright, the third book I'm putting on the fall TBR for romance is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. This just sounds fun. It's been on my TBR for so long. Like, I really, really just need to pick it up, and I keep waiting to read it in the fall, like around Halloween, because witches and demons, like, come on, that's perfect. It just, every time fall comes around, I'm just never in the mood, so I really, really want to make it a mission to read this in the fall. It kind of sounds like an enemies to lovers. I think The male main character, who is the demon, wants her soul and kind of puts a hex on her where they have to be together at all times. So it's forced proximity, fake dating, and she kind of wants nothing to do with him. She just obviously doesn't want to give up her soul, and he needs to get her soul, but if she gives up her soul to him, she loses all her emotions, including love. So it's kind of that forced proximity. They realize that maybe there's something more between them, and I'm guessing that he's going to come around and be more of a hero in the end rather than the evil demon we're kind of getting the vibes that he is right now. But again, it's a witch and a demon, and look at the cover. I don't know, it's just so pretty. So I really, really want to tick this off my list finally. So I'm going to put it on the fall TBR for this year and really hope that I get around to it. The last romance book that I'm putting on our fall TBR is well deserved. Bride by Allie Hazelwood. Listen, I've heard and learned, unfortunately, what the word not is in this book. So I'm a little scared, but also really intrigued. Like, I feel like I'm gonna gag at this, but I don't know. I've heard cute things. Like, it's just fun. I love Allie Hazelwood personally. She is one of my favorite romance authors, and I think looking at like my shelf, she might be my favorite romance author. I don't know. I love the Twisted Sisters too, so she's kind of like right up there. But she always has like just fun, silly characters and really drawn out like personalities and little like niches. There's a lot of scientists, there's chemists, there's grandmasters of chess, video game designers, there's swimmers. I just love her writing, and I love the characters that she creates. It's just such a fun world. So I'm really excited to pick up her kind of first fantasy romance. It's given the vibes of Twilight a little bit with a vampire and a werewolf. So I love Twilight, so I'm excited. The main character is Misery, and she is a vampire and the daughter of a councilman in this world. And in order to set some political things straight, she is forced into a marriage of convenience with the alpha of the werewolves named Lo. It seems that Misery has her own secret agenda of why she wanted to agree to this marriage of convenience, her own personal stake at this, and she's wanting to get back what's hers, and so we're not sure what that is. So there's a little bit of a mystery element and maybe some backstabbing, but I don't know. It's a romance, so they end up getting together, and I've heard there's a lot of world building in this, so it's kind of slower at first, but people really enjoy it, or they get to the word not and actually put it down. So we'll see. I'm really excited to read this. I feel like it's the perfect fall book, especially a romance for palate cleanser amongst my 9 fantasy books that I have on here. So we'll see. Bride by Allie Hazelwood is the final romance of the fall TBR. All right. I love my fantasy books. Fantasy is my favorite genre for sure. Most of my shelves in my library are fantasy. So I feel like we gotta start off strong. Oh, this is kind of heavy. The Harry Potter world. I have watched all the movies and I've read the first 3 books. So when I was younger, I read the first book and then I watched the first movie, and then I read the second book and watched the second movie, and then I read the third book, and then I didn't watch the third movie. I kind of got in a slump because it was a lot, like back to back to back, and so I put it down. I haven't read the fourth one, and then my boyfriend this year convinced me to watch the third movie, and we just binged the series, and I fell in love with it. I love Dobby. Dobby is so good. I don't know. I absolutely love this series, and I really want to maybe finish the 4th through the 7th book, but that's a huge commitment. So I at least want to read the Goblet of Fire and possibly what's the 5th one called? I can't remember. Order of the Phoenix. So we'll see. My goal is to read at least Goblet of Fire, but I wanted to show off this like Barnes & Noble edition. I just love the spines when they make a picture. It's just so pretty. So our first fantasy kind of series, but maybe book, is a Harry Potter, specifically the Goblet of Fire. But highly, highly recommend. I feel like most people have read this or watched this or both and are absolutely obsessed over it. So I'm excited. The second fantasy that I'm going to put on this fall TBR is actually one that came out pretty recently, and it is called The Silver Elite by Danny Francis. It is a adult dystopian, and dystopian is my favorite. I absolutely love dystopian books. I eat them up. I love the Hunger Games. My Hunger Games series is my soul, is my whole personality whenever I watch that or read that. So good. I absolutely loved it. I feel like I read Sunrise on the Reaping as soon as it came out and devoured it. Bawled my eyes out. Anyways, dystopian is good. The second fantasy that I'm going to put on this is a war going on, and if you have any psychic abilities, that's a no-no. I believe they will off you if if you have any psychic abilities. So this girl does, and she's been honing them in secret, and one day she makes a mistake, and this guy who is the commander of the Silver Elite sees her, and instead of turning her in, he says, hey, either I'm going to turn you in, or you can choose to come and join my Silver Elite, which is an extensive training program for people with these powers, and basically fight against the side that she's on. So she agrees to it, and she wants to delve a blow from the inside. She's living like a double life. So she's training with these people, and she secretly wants to figure out how to make a move that will advance her side in the war from the inside, and this is the perfect way to do it. But she is starting to slowly fall for that commander who took her in. So we'll see. I love a good enemies to lovers, forced proximity, fantasy. Like, romantasy is just chef's kiss of a genre, and I highly recommend it. So I'm really, really excited to pick this up, and I specifically want to pick it up in the fall, maybe in September. I'm thinking September because I really want to knock it off. Another fantasy that I'm going to add to my fall TBR is The Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Meher. Meher? I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I've heard this is like a cozy fantasy romance, like super, super fun, super silly, like absolutely full of humor, and it's just a good time, and I cannot wait to read this. I feel like the fall is the perfect time. Like, I mean, look at this cover. I've heard that the frog with that sign, like, is a huge part of this book, and I can't wait to see that. But there's this girl who is basically sunshine, like absolutely sunshine, and to help her family out, she takes this job as an assistant to the villain, who is a villain, just like very moody, very grumpy. They find out that there is a rat, a snitch, in the inside of their ranks. So it's a mystery on figuring out who is the rat and how to figure out what to do with that, but also the romance that sparks in here. And I don't know, I've just heard it's such a good time, and I'm really excited to read it. So Assistant to the Villain is the third fantasy that I'm adding to the fall TBR? I think so. They find out that there is a rat, a snitch, in the inside of the ranks. So it's a mystery on figuring out who is the rat and how to figure out what to do with that, but also the romance that sparks in here. And I don't know, I've just heard it's such a good time, and I'm really excited to read it. So Assistant to the Villain is the third fantasy that I'm adding to the fall TBR? I think so. The next book that I'm going to add to my fall TBR is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I've heard this is so fun. It's a romance, gothic, I think, mystery, and correct me if I'm wrong on the gothic part, but the cover, again, is so pretty. The vibes are giving fall. It's a fantasy world where this girl has a lot of misfortunes happening to her, and her mother passes away, and when her spirit shows back up and tells her that she was poisoned, she's now on this mission to figure out who was the murderer, who killed her mother. And as she's figuring out who killed her mother, she stumbles across a shadow, and it's death itself, and he actually is going to help her figure out what happened to her mother as they go along this mystery and adventure and in this really, really cool, like, atmospheric world. They ended up kind of falling for each other, so there's romance, and I don't know, I'm super excited. This is giving fall vibes, and it's a trilogy, and I think there's a novella coming out as well, so I'm super excited to dive into this series. I feel like this is the perfect time too, so this is the other one that I am adding to the fall TBR, Belladonna. I feel like this doesn't need to be described, like, plot wise. Everybody knows what Fourth Wing is. This is the third book in the Empyrean series, with the first one being Fourth Wing. I loved Fourth Wing. I liked Iron Flame. I thought it was good, it was entertaining, but I felt like there's a lot of things kind of wrong with it and just not one of my favorite books. I felt like it could have been 200 pages shorter. But so I think that's why, even though it came out in January and I started it a little bit, I softy enough to put it down. I just wasn't in the mood. I think I was just really nervous about my thoughts on it, especially it's a like chunky book. But I really want to read it. Like, I've heard everybody likes it better than Iron Flame, so we'll see. I'm excited to jump into this. I've just been putting it off, and I feel like this is a great time to pick up this book. Is in the fall. I don't know. You got dragons. You got a war college school. You've got crazy politics. There's a war going on. I don't know. It's good. I love it. It's just I'm just nervous. So we'll see. The next book I'm putting on this series is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. The next book that I am putting on my fall TBR for the fantasy genre is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I've heard so many good things about this. I feel like this was an OG book talk book, and I just haven't picked it up. I bought both of them because I feel like I'm going to love this. I shouldn't have done this. I should have just bought the first one, see if I liked it or not, and then bought the second one. But, that's not the case. So, gotta knock this off my shelf. I feel like I have to read the back for this one to you because I'm having, like, a hard time kind of explaining a little bit. And I feel like the less you know about it, kind of going into this, the better it might be. I don't know. So, especially this back doesn't give away a ton. So, an outlaw family that claims to be the first among nations. A son destined to lead, thrust suddenly into power. Three fierce young women of Rattan, the Queen's premier guard, a legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself, a dark secret that is a threat to the entire continent. When outlaw leader meets reformed thief, a cat and mouse game of false moves ensues, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. I'm glad I read the back, because, that sounds really good. Anyways, that's giving fall vibes. It's about time I picked up Dance of Thieves and read that duology. I just can't wait. So, Dance of Thieves for another one on the fall TBR. The next one I'm adding to the fall TBR is the Crimson Moth duology. The first one is Heartless Hunter, and I actually went to Europe on a trip in July, and I bought the other editions because, I'm sorry, they are so much prettier than the ones we have in the US. I don't care. That is Sorry, I'm not arguing about that. They're so much prettier. But this is a famous duology that taken over Book Talk, BookTube, and I finally need to read it. Like, seriously, it is enemies to lovers between a witch and a witch hunter. She has double life. Like, she pretends to be obviously not a witch because if you're a witch, you get hunted and killed. But she goes out and saves witches at night and then comes back and pretends to be regal woman, like nothing to do with that, not magical at all. And the witch hunter Gideon, I don't know her name, let me see. Rune. So Rune is the one who's living a double life, and Gideon is the witch hunter, and he kind of realizes that she's also a witch, but they need secrets from each other, so they enter a fake dating, and they don't know that they're fake dating each other. She thinks that she's playing him, and Gideon thinks that he's playing her, and they don't realize that they're doing the same thing to each other. And I've just heard it's an amazing witchy fantasy. A witchy fantasy is the perfect thing to read in the fall. So I'm gonna crank out the Crimson Moth duology in the fall. I can't wait. Maybe October I'll read it, or September. I don't know. Like, these are all so exciting. I want to read them right now. So we'll see. The second to last book I'm putting on my fall TBR is The Night and Its Moth by Rachel Gillig. I love Rachel Gillig. I read recently One Dark Window, that duology, 6-star duology. Oh my god, so good. I raved about it in my what I read in June, and uh, the 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 second one, the Two Twisted Crowns, made me bawl my eyes out on the end. It was so good. Seriously, one of my favorite series I've ever read. So I am beyond excited to pick up her next series. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or trilogy or whatever. In this world, there are these people called the Diviners, and Six is our female main character. She is one of them. They basically can predict the future for people of this world by going through kind of like a little bit of a traumatic thing, and I don't know what that thing is exactly, but they're well respected. They have to serve for 10 years and then they're done, and there's this knight that comes into kind of her world, and he is super annoying. He kind of doesn't respect diviners. He thinks that they're full of crap. So she's kind of wanting nothing to do with him, but other diviners start going missing, like something bad starts happening to them, and so they team up and start figuring out what is happening. So then there's a romance between the two, there's the mystery. I've heard so many good things, and again, Rachel Gillig is an auto-buy author for me now. Anytime she releases something, immediately purchase, immediately add to cart, immediately go to Barnes and Noble. I don't care. I absolutely love Rachel Gillig. So I am excited to pick this one up. I feel like I'm gonna read it in September because I need to read this. Maybe even August. I don't know. End of August it might be happening because I just love her work so much. So we'll see. The second to last book I'm adding is The Night and Its Moth by Rachel Gillig. Alright, the final book that I am adding to my fall TBR, the 16th book, is the first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I absolutely love Sarah J. Maas. I've read Throne of Glass series and ACOTAR. I have a Throne of Glass tattoo, the You Do Not Yield. She, again, right up there with Rachel Gillig. I love this author. Auto buy. I can't wait for whatever she puts out and crafts, and I haven't read The Crescent City, and it is on my bucket list to do in 2025 when it comes to reading, is read the Crescent City series. I've heard good things. I've heard it's not as good as her other two, but there's like ACOTAR references, and I mean it's thick. It is really big. So I think that's why I've been kind of holding off on it. There's 3 really big books in the series, and I've heard that it's so much world building at the beginning, that she kind of throws at you. So it's really slow to get into, but I've also heard that it's really fun and people love it. So I'm excited to get into it. So Sarah J. Maas writes these really big fantasy worlds, and you know that there's something huge going on underneath. So I'm really excited. The main character Bryce, which is the female main character, and the male main character's name is Hunt. So there is a murder that happens in this world, and it really shook Bryce. We don't know why, but that's just kind of what it's giving in the synopsis. And then 2 years later, the murderer strikes again, and this fallen angel, who's Hunt, comes down and is assigned to watch her, so forced proximity. And then amongst that happening, there is something that's kind of underlying in the world, which is that big fantasy element that I don't know what it is. I'm really excited, but that kind of starts to rise up again, and I'm excited. I'm nervous to pick this one up, but I have to do it. And this edition is just so cool. I love the Barnes & Noble special edition. So the last book of our TBR for the fall is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. But that is it for our ultimate fall TBR. I really appreciate you for sticking around and watching this far. I'm super excited to dive in and start reading these. I feel like I've got to get through my August TBR, and then I can start worrying about these, start picking them up slowly or maybe really fast. I feel like the fantasy ones I am so excited for. All of them, honestly. The mystery